The first time I asked my mother-in-law where my husband went every Friday night, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "Sarah, married people don't need to account for every hour of their lives." 30 seconds later, I heard a woman laugh from her bedroom. Not the television, not a phone call. A woman. Young. Close. And when I walked toward that hallway, my mother-in-law stepped in front of me and locked the bedroom door behind her. What she didn't know was that I had already seen my husband's truck parked 2 streets away. What I didn't know yet was why he had been disappearing every Friday for almost 7 months, or why his mother was helping him do it. By the time I finally learned who that woman was, my marriage wasn't the only thing built on a lie. My name is Sarah Whitmore. I'm 32 years old, I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm a registered dietitian. I spend most of my working life telling people that patterns matter. One strange blood sugar reading can mean nothing. One skipped meal can mean nothing. One bad week can mean nothing. But when the same thing happens over and over again, at the same time, under the same circumstances, you stop calling it coincidence. I wish I had followed my own advice sooner. My husband Tyler and I had been married for 6 years. We met when I was 24 at a charity 5K, where I was volunteering at a nutrition booth, and he was helping his company sponsor the event. Tyler worked as a commercial insurance adjuster. He was funny without needing an audience, remembered small things, and for the first few years of our marriage, he was the person I trusted most in the world. His mother, Elaine, was another matter. Elaine Whitmore lived about 15 minutes from us in a beautiful older house in North Asheville. She had been widowed for 9 years and had turned worrying about Tyler into something close to a full-time occupation. She called him when it snowed. She called him when it rained. She called him if the temperature dropped below freezing because apparently a 35-year-old man might forget that ice existed. I used to find it sweet. Then came Fridays. It started in January. Tyler came home from work one Friday, changed out of his dress shirt, and told me his mother needed help clearing some boxes from her garage. Tonight? She wants to donate them tomorrow morning. I remember looking at the chicken I had already put in the oven. Okay. How long? Couple hours. Nothing about that night felt suspicious. The next Friday, Elaine needed help with a leaking kitchen faucet. The Friday after that, Tyler said she was having trouble with her laptop. A broken shelf. One Friday, apparently, a smoke detector had started chirping. 7 months of Fridays, and my mother-in-law somehow became the unluckiest homeowner in North Carolina between the hours of 6 and 10 p.m., I noticed. But noticing something and accusing your husband of having an affair are two very different things. Besides, Tyler never disappeared overnight. He didn't suddenly start protecting his phone. He wasn't coming home smelling like perfume. He wasn't withdrawing money from our joint account. Elaine and I were having lunch at a cafe downtown when she complained that Tyler hadn't visited enough lately. I laughed. "Elaine, he's at your house every Friday." "Maybe less." Then she smiled. "Pretty close." Something about the way she said it stayed with me. That evening, I asked Tyler what he had done at his mother's house the previous Friday. He was standing at the kitchen counter opening a bottle of sparkling water. "Last Friday?" "Yeah." "What about it?" "Wasn't working." "You spent 4 hours fixing a porch light?" He smiled. "No. Mom talked for 3.5 of them. So I let it go. For another month." Then, on the last Friday in June, something happened that I couldn't explain away. Tyler left around 6:20. Elaine needed help moving an old dresser, he said. At 7:45, I realized I had left a folder at my office that I needed for a Saturday morning consultation. My office was only 10 minutes away, so I got in my car. There are 2 reasonable routes from our house to my office. Dark blue Ford F-150. Small dent above the rear passenger wheel from a grocery cart incident he still blamed on me, even though I wasn't there when it happened. The truck was parked outside a small wine bar. I slowed down. For half a second, I thought about pulling over. I kept driving. My hands were shaking by the time I reached my office. At 8:03, I texted Tyler. Yep, dresser is heavier than it looks. Might be another hour. Then I did something I'm still glad I did. Nothing. I was scared. Because once somebody you trust tells you a lie that specific, you start wondering how many truths in your life are only stories you never thought to question. Tyler came home at 9:38. He kissed me, then complained about his shoulder because the dresser had been so heavy. Quietly. Tyler left work at roughly the same time every Friday. He usually came home first, showered, changed clothes, almost always wore something nicer than what a man needed to repair his mother's garbage disposal. Elaine stopped mentioning Fridays altogether. Because people who don't know they're part of a lie behave normally. If you've ever had that moment when one tiny inconsistency made you question an entire relationship, tell me in the comments what it was. And if you enjoy stories where the truth comes out one piece at a time, subscribe and stay with me, because the woman I heard in Elaine's house was only the beginning. 2 Fridays later, Tyler told me his mother wasn't feeling well. What's wrong? Migraine. I frowned. I can come? No. Too immediate. He softened it. I mean, you've been working all week. Stay home. Relax. I've got Mom. So I smiled. Okay. At 6:34, he left carrying a takeout bag from Elaine's favorite Italian restaurant. At 7:10, I called Elaine. No answer. At 7:18, I called again. No answer. At 7:26, I texted her. Hope you feel better. Tyler said the migraine is bad. Let me know if you need anything. No response. Tyler came home at 10:11. How's Elaine? Sleeping. Yeah. What medication? Just for a second. Bright voice. Energetic. Sarah, honey, are you two coming for brunch Sunday? Long enough. Oh, better. Yes, it was. Another pause. Sarah, why are you asking me about my medicine? There it was. Defensiveness. I just didn't know what they were protecting. The obvious answer was an affair. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. But something about it didn't fit. If Tyler was seeing another woman, why involve his mother? Elaine was possessive of her son, but she was also obsessed with appearances. She hosted Christmas dinners where the napkins matched the centerpiece. She mailed handwritten thank you cards. She once refused to speak to her cousin for 2 months because the woman announced a divorce on Facebook before telling the family. The idea that Elaine would knowingly help Tyler cheat on me seemed impossible. Until August 8th. Friday. Tyler left the house at 6:17. This time, he said Elaine needed him to review paperwork from her homeowner's insurance. I drove toward Elaine's neighborhood expecting to find her driveway empty. There it was. His truck. Maybe I had turned one strange night at a wine bar into something it wasn't. Behind the house. Elaine had a narrow service lane that ran behind several properties. Tyler's truck was tucked beside her detached garage where it couldn't be seen from the street. At the end of the block, I turned around. Same make, same color, same license plate I had memorized outside the wine bar. I parked around the corner and sat there for nearly 5 minutes. There are always innocent explanations when you desperately need one. Maybe the SUV belonged to one of Elaine's friends. Maybe Tyler had met the driver professionally. Maybe I had remembered the plate incorrectly. I walked to my mother-in-law's front door. I rang the bell. Elaine opened the door after almost a minute. She was wearing jeans and a cream blouse. No migraine, no pajamas, no surprise that her son had supposedly come to help with paperwork. Sarah? Hi. The second was the dining room table behind her. 2 wine glasses. Is Tyler here? Her eyes shifted toward the driveway even though she knew perfectly well his truck wasn't parked there. Tyler? Yes, my husband. I felt something inside me go very still. What time? It was 7:42. Where did he go? Her face changed. Barely. Sarah, I don't keep track of Tyler's movements. You told me 2 minutes ago you thought he was with me. I assumed. Just enough. Then back at me. Her jaw tightened. Sarah, where does Tyler go every Friday? She exhaled slowly, and when she spoke again, her voice had changed. Lower. Colder. Married people don't need to account for every hour of their lives. Because that sentence didn't sound spontaneous. Then I heard it. A woman laughed. Soft. Brief. Who's here? Nobody. The television. Black screen. A floorboard. I stepped inside. Sarah. Let go. She did. At the far end was Elaine's bedroom. Black heels. Elaine had undergone foot surgery 3 years earlier and hadn't worn heels since. Fast. She reached the bedroom door first, pulled it shut, and turned the little brass key that was already sitting in the lock. Click. No one you need to concern yourself with. No. Birthdays, Thanksgivings, hospital visits. Then a phone vibrated behind the locked door. Once, twice. I stepped closer. Elaine. No. Quietly. A strange woman was locked inside his mother's bedroom. I backed away. She thought I was leaving because I had lost my nerve. I wasn't. I was leaving because for the first time in 7 months, I understood that asking them questions was useless. You should talk to your husband instead of creating a scene in my home. I planned to. Then I left. I made it halfway down the sidewalk before I heard Elaine's bedroom door open behind me. I kept walking. A woman stepped onto Elaine's porch. Early 30s, maybe younger. Dark hair pulled into a low ponytail. Black dress. Bare feet. Tyler. And even through the windshield, I watched my husband realize that whatever story they had spent 7 months protecting had just changed. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. A white envelope. Across the front, in thick black letters, was my husband's full name. Paternity test results. For 7 months, I had wanted one clean answer so badly that I thought if the moment ever came, I would chase it until I got one. But standing there on that quiet Asheville street, watching the taillights of that gray sedan disappear, I understood something. I had a pattern. A hidden truck, a second vehicle, and an envelope marked paternity test results. Whatever happened next, I didn't want Tyler's explanation first. I wanted facts. So I drove home. At 8:26, Tyler texted me. No question mark. Just a statement. I typed 3 different replies and deleted all of them. Finally, I wrote, "We need to talk." Tyler came home at 9:14. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea I hadn't touched. No work bag, no jacket, no white envelope. Sarah. He stopped. What gray sedan? Then back at me. Why? My truck was blocked in behind Mom's garage. Calculation. What woman? The woman your mother locked in her bedroom. Tyler. He pulled out the chair across from me and sat down. You've disappeared every Friday for 7 months. Your mother has lied for you. Tonight there was a woman hiding in her bedroom, your truck hidden behind the garage, and you drove past me in another car carrying paternity test results. You saw that? Yes. He leaned back, afraid. Sarah, there are things happening that I haven't told you. I said nothing. I don't need to believe anything tonight. It means you get one chance to tell me the truth. I will. All of it. He hesitated. Because people who are finally ready to tell the truth don't usually need to. Decide which truth you're allowed to hear. I stood up. Upstairs. Sarah, please. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. I turned around. Mine. I saw that. Elaine. I couldn't read the message, but I saw his face. I have to go. No. Sarah. No. You have been going somewhere every Friday for 7 months. Tonight you're staying here. Make it simple. Who is she? Then quietly. Her name is Jessica. Jessica what? Jessica Bennett. To keep you two from meeting like that. Like what? Before we knew. Knew what? What? I could hear her voice, but not the words. Tyler's expression changed almost immediately. Is she okay? No, don't call an ambulance unless she asks you to. I'm coming. He hung up. Jessica? Yes. What happened? No. Then sit down. Torn. Finally, he sat. He stared at the table for several seconds. From Jessica. Why? Who? My father. Tyler's father, Robert Whitmore, had died 9 years before I met Tyler. Elaine spoke about him in the careful, polished way widows sometimes speak about complicated marriages after enough time has passed. Disciplined, private. What does Jessica have to do with your father? She thinks he was her father too. For a second, the entire room seemed to rearrange itself around that sentence. Jessica thinks she's your sister? Yes. How old is she? 30. Tyler was 35. Robert had still been married to Elaine when Jessica was born. She knows now. And that's why you've been disappearing every Friday? Partly. Partly? When Jessica first contacted Mom thought it was a scam. Reasonable. She didn't tell me for almost 2 weeks. Then Jessica sent photographs. Together? Yes. How together? Together enough. What else? Letters. Old birthday cards. A photograph of my father holding Jessica when she was a baby. And Elaine still thought it was a scam? Not immediately. Why not? Softer. Protective. Still, 7 months of lies were 7 months of lies. So you met her? Yes. At the wine bar. His head lifted. Your truck. That was the first time I met Jessica without Mom. It means every time Jessica asked about Dad, Mom either shut down or got angry. So I started meeting Jessica on Fridays. Why Fridays? Her schedule. She works weekends sometimes and finishes early Fridays. Jessica asked us not to tell anyone until the DNA results came back. I know. He didn't answer. I leaned back. There's more. Yes. I waited. Tyler. Jessica didn't come looking for Dad because she suddenly got curious. That still doesn't explain 7 months. No. What does? He exhaled. My Uncle Thomas. I had met Thomas maybe 4 times. He lived outside Knoxville and wasn't close to Elaine. The result? Consistent with Jessica being biologically related to the Whitmore family. How consistent? Enough that nobody could call her a scammer anymore. Because it couldn't prove Dad specifically? Yes. Yes. Sibling test. No. Why? It arrived at my office this afternoon. I picked it up before going to Mom's. And then? Then why weren't you at Elaine's when I arrived? I almost smiled. Tyler, I'm pretty sure we're past the easy part. Jessica brought someone with her tonight. Who? Why? Because after the first DNA result, she found something else in the box. What? A copy of my father's will. I sat very still. Elaine told me Robert left everything to her. But the copy Jessica found isn't the same will Mom showed me after Dad died. There it was. Another door. Another hallway. Another answer that created 2 more questions. You've been dealing with this for 7 months and you haven't seen it? It will. Try me. He swallowed. Jessica's copy has a section recognizing a second child. I heard the refrigerator compressor click on behind me. Jessica? No name. Something about a child born outside the marriage and a separate trust. A trust? Yes. For how much? I don't know. I'm not. I know Dad owned more than I thought he did. How much more? Maybe. So you left Elaine's house tonight because Jessica's attorney asked me to meet him privately before we opened the DNA result. Why privately? Because he thinks my mother has been hiding more than an affair. I thought about Elaine blocking the hallway, the wine glasses, Jessica behind the locked bedroom door. But you met him. Yes. He asked if I remembered signing anything after Dad died. Did you? I was 26. Mom handled everything. Yes. What? A waiver. And now? I felt something cold settle over the anger, because now this story had changed again. Money. Me. Sealed. Why? Because he told me not to open it at Mom's house. Why? He said if it confirms Jessica and I, our siblings, he wants the result documented before anyone in the family can dispute what happened next. I don't know. What? Mr. Whitmore, this is Andrew Kaplan. Please do not discuss tonight's documents with Elaine until we speak tomorrow morning. I reviewed the probate file after leaving you. There is a problem with your signature. I read it twice. Your signature? I told you. He didn't answer. Tyler. Mr. Whitmore, I need you to answer one question before I proceed. In March 2017, were you physically present in Buncombe County when the waiver was notarized? Well, no. Where were you? Colorado. I blinked. What? I was in Denver for 6 weeks, training for work. So how did you sign a notarized document here? I didn't. Andrew Kaplan. Mr. Kaplan. Tyler, I apologize for calling this late. The attorney's voice was calm, professional. I need to confirm what you just told me by text. You were not in North Carolina on March 17th, 2017? No. You're certain? I can prove it. My company sent me to Denver. Hotel, flights, training records. There was a pause. Another pause. Then Kaplan said, "The waiver filed under your name was notarized in Asheville on March 17th. I am not making that accusation on a phone call. It waived your right to receive a full accounting of certain assets transferred out of your father's estate." What assets? Kaplan paused. My wife? Another silence. She does now. Fine. Then I'm going to be very clear. I found references to a trust that does not appear in the probate inventory Elaine provided after Robert Whitmore's death. Jessica's trust? Possibly. How much? Stops where? At a transfer executed approximately 6 weeks before your father died. Transfer to who? And I knew before he said it that whatever came next was why Elaine had been so frightened. Whose? Name? Blue Ridge Family. Holdings. Tyler. What? Where? I stood so fast my chair scraped the floor. I went to the small desk beside the kitchen and opened the drawer where we kept tax records, insurance documents, and mortgage statements. I pulled out the renewal packet from the year before. On the final page was a property ownership disclosure connected to a rental parcel Tyler and Elaine jointly used for family holidays near Lake Lure. I had noticed the company name once because it sounded oddly formal. Found it. Blue Ridge Family Holdings, LLC. His face changed. Mr. Kaplan? Yes? Who? My mother. Then, headlights washed across the living room wall. Tyler, did you hear me? Do not confront Elaine until I have the complete record. Too late. Then another. Elaine. Jessica stepped out of the passenger side holding the white envelope. The DNA results. For 1 second, mother-in-law and daughter of her dead husband stood in the same frame outside my house. Her face was pale, controlled. Where is it? Tyler frowned. Where is what? Elaine saw it. You had no right going through private family documents. I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. That company has nothing to do with you. Mom, whose signature is on the 2017 waiver? She froze. No, what waiver? Elaine looked toward the open front door. Close the door. No. Tyler. No. Answer me. That attorney. She still had the envelope in both hands. No shoes now. Apparently she had left the heels behind, smaller somehow than she had on Elaine's porch. Tyler. He turned. I opened it. And? Read. Tyler? Then at his mother. The test confirmed a biological relationship consistent with half-siblings. Jessica was Robert Whitmore's daughter. No ambiguity left. No scam. She started crying. She sat in the chair closest to the door and covered her mouth. Jessica watched. Her. Just exhaustion. Tyler spoke first. You knew. I suspected. Elaine stood again. He lied to me. Mom. He had another woman. Another child. And then when he was dying, he expected me to smile and divide everything we built together. Jessica flinched. Tyler saw it. She wasn't there. She never came. Her mother never contacted us. Elaine went silent. Jessica's voice shook, but she kept going. When he died, I was 21. My mother told me my father wanted nothing to do with us. Jessica looked down at the DNA report. I found letters after she died. He tried to contact me. Did you stop him? No. Did you? No. Too fast. I have one letter my mother never opened. Jessica continued. Still nothing. Tyler looked at his mother like he was seeing a stranger. Elaine whispered, Yes. Jessica swallowed. Shame. Choose what? His family. I was his family. I know that now. Nobody spoke. I hadn't. Tyler hadn't been maintaining an affair. He had been trying to hold together a family secret that had started before either of us met. Did you forge my signature? Nothing came out. Mom. Then who did? I said I didn't. Elaine turned. What? What letter? To the trustee. What trustee? You have that? Kaplan does. Jessica looked at Elaine before answering. It says Tyler Whitmore has reviewed the family arrangement and agrees that the trust should be dissolved. Elaine whispered, Jessica. And then the assets were transferred to Blue Ridge Family Holdings, the LLC, Elaine's LLC. How much? Originally? Yes. Just over $600,000. No one moved. That was in 2017. What do you mean? The original assets included investments. Kaplan estimates somewhere between $1.1 and $1.4 million. Heavy. The kind of silence that comes when everyone realizes the truth has become too expensive to ignore. You don't understand what your father did to me. No, Mom. I understand exactly what he did. But I'm starting to understand what you did to her. Elaine stood. From what? From having everything your father worked for handed to a stranger. Pain. Elaine looked away. Tyler didn't. No, she isn't. The exact second she realized Tyler had chosen a side. If you let attorneys into this, they will tear this family apart. Maybe because I was the only person in the room who hadn't accused her of anything, even now, even here. She still thought I was the reasonable wife whose job was to smooth out whatever damage the Whitmore family created. For 7 months, you helped my husband lie to me. No, you were trying to control when everyone learned the truth. I didn't let her. You told me married people don't need to account for every hour of their lives. You were right. She stared at me. But husbands do have to account for 7 months of lies. Mothers have to account for forged documents if that's what happened. And families have to account for money that wasn't theirs. You have no idea what you're talking about. She frowned. Tyler answered. We meet Kaplan. No. She walked out. She just left. Jessica stood there for a moment like she wasn't sure whether she was allowed to stay. You okay? Then gave a tiny laugh that broke halfway, through. No. Permission. We sat at the kitchen table until almost 1 in the morning. Jessica had a daughter. Her name was Lily. She was 6. She had started looking because Lily had been diagnosed with a hereditary heart condition. Nothing immediately life-threatening, but serious enough that doctors wanted a complete family medical history. It said, I'm trying to learn about my biological father because my daughter may have inherited something from his side of the family. then denied it. Tyler found out only because he saw the letter on her kitchen counter. At first, he thought he was helping with medical history, then the letters, then the will, then the trust. And every Friday, Tyler came home and told me his mother needed help with a faucet. Then I asked him, "Why didn't you tell me after the first DNA test?" "I know." "Why did you choose her comfort over being honest with me?" "For 7 months?" "Yes. Yes. Yes." And again. "Yes." I appreciated that he didn't defend himself. "I don't know what happens with us after this." His face tightened. "No. I know. I'm saying you don't get to decide that the affair wasn't real, so the lying doesn't count." "I know." At 7:06 Saturday morning, I woke to the sound of our printer downstairs. I came into the kitchen and found Tyler printing airline confirmations, hotel receipts, and old emails from his 2017 Denver training. Proof. He had been 1,400 miles away when someone signed his name in Asheville. At 8:12, Andrew Kaplan called. By 9:30, the four of us were sitting in a conference room downtown. Tyler, Jessica, me. "Your father created a trust in 2014. For Jessica? For a beneficiary described as his biological daughter born outside his marriage. We don't know. Do we know him? You might." A photograph was clipped to the document. Older man, silver hair, glasses. Tyler went pale. Kaplan nodded. Jessica stared. "Yes." I felt cold. So the same attorney who controlled Jessica's trust also represented Elaine? Is that legal? That depends on disclosures, consent, conflicts, and what actually occurred. I'm not making conclusions yet. But this is why I told you not to confront Elaine. What is it? Signed by me? No, Kaplan continued. For the trust? Yes. Not directly. The money moved through another account first. Whose account? I saw the name. Tyler Robert Whitmore custodial account. What is that? An account opened when you were a minor. I'm 35. It appears to have remained open, under a successor structure. I believe you. No. Someone else did. Jessica whispered. Why? What now? Kaplan pointed to a transaction near the bottom of the page. $380,000 left Jessica's trust. Where did it go? Into the custodial account carrying your name. And then? 48 hours later, nearly the same amount went to Blue Ridge Family Holdings. So on paper, it looks like I received Jessica's money. Kaplan nodded. Yes. My stomach dropped. And the waiver? The waiver creates the appearance that you knew about the arrangement. Everything clicked. The forged signature wasn't just about keeping him uninformed. Kaplan nodded once. And just when I thought the morning couldn't get worse, Kaplan's assistant knocked on the conference room door. He frowned. What? That was fast. What is? Blue Ridge Family Holdings initiated a transfer at 8:47 this morning. A transfer where? How much? Tyler stood. Can she do that? Kaplan was already reaching for his phone. She just did. And then he said the sentence that made me realize Elaine hadn't come to our house the night before to explain anything. Tyler, I need you to think very carefully. Did your mother see the insurance document with the LLC name before she left your house last night? I remembered her face when she saw the paper on our kitchen table. Yes, I said. And this morning, she started moving the money. The second was that Elaine had moved too fast. Andrew Kaplan spent the next 40 minutes on calls while Tyler, Jessica, and I sat in that conference room, watching a family secret turn into a financial emergency. At 9:18, he reached the bank's legal department. At 9:31, he sent over the documents showing the disputed trust history. At 9:46, he asked Tyler for written authorization to flag any transfer using accounts connected to his name. At 10:07, he finally sat back down. The money is temporarily frozen. Jessica exhaled so hard it sounded painful. How long? Elaine had attempted to move just over $1.2 million from Blue Ridge Family Holdings into a newly opened account. The name was Mountain Laurel Consulting. Neither had I. Who owns it? Your mother. Until then, he had still been holding two versions of Elaine in his head. Now those two versions were becoming one. She knew. Tyler looked up. She knew there was a dispute. She knew Jessica had counsel. She knew we had located Blue Ridge, and after that, she attempted to move nearly all of the assets. What happens now? We file for emergency injunctive relief. We demand a full accounting. We preserve records from Blue Ridge, Mountain Laurel, the trust, the probate estate, and Martin Hale's office. Tyler frowned. Hale. Yes. I think his records will tell us whether he did. Outside, Asheville was having one of those clear mountain Saturdays that almost made the whole morning feel impossible. People carried coffee, couples walked dogs. A tour bus rolled down the street. Normal life. I'm sorry. Because I'm sorry gets weaker when people attach excuses to it. You should be. I know. Jessica was a few feet away talking to Kaplan's assistant. I thought I was protecting Mom until I knew what was true. You protected her after you knew she was lying. Yes. And you lied to me because you thought you could control the fallout. Yes. His eyes dropped. I understand. For the next 12 days, the truth came out in pieces, through records, emails, bank statements, the kind of evidence people never imagine will matter when they're making a quiet decision years earlier. Tyler's signature on the 2017 waiver was not his. His former paralegal had archived nearly everything. One message from March 16, 2017 was sent from Elaine Whitmore to Hale. It read, Tyler is still in Colorado and does not need to be dragged into this. Robert wanted me to resolve everything. Please prepare whatever is necessary and I will handle Tyler. The following morning, the waiver was notarized. Phone calls. Client insists biological daughter has made no contact and Robert intended surviving family to retain control. Kaplan nodded. Yes. And Elaine knew. Yes. Robert had asked Hale to prepare a letter for Jessica approximately 4 months before his death. The final letter had never been sent from Hale's office. Robert apparently took it home to mail personally. The one Jessica's mother had never opened. There were no villains without wounds in this story. He had let two families exist under different versions of the truth. Badly. Much longer. Jessica's original trust had been worth a little over $600,000 when Robert died. The trust held a mix of investments and proceeds from a commercial property sale. After Robert's death, Elaine and Martin Hale initiated transfers that moved most of those assets through the custodial structure connected to Tyler. Then into Blue Ridge Family Holdings. Some was used to purchase a rental property. Some funded renovations on Elaine's house. A lot. 3 weeks after the Friday at Elaine's house, Tyler and I were asked to meet her and her new attorney. Kaplan's office. Elaine arrived in a navy dress and pearls. Her attorney was a man named Charles Ramsey, probably in his late 50s, calm and expensive-looking. You look tired. We're here to discuss a resolution that avoids unnecessary litigation. Kaplan leaned back. Go ahead. Elaine would acknowledge that the funds originated in a trust intended for Robert Whitmore's biological daughter. She would cooperate with a full accounting. She would transfer control of the frozen assets into a court-supervised structure while valuation was completed. She would repay the personal distributions. Jessica listened. No smile, no satisfaction. My client disputes characterizing it that way. Ramsey continued. My client acknowledges Tyler did not personally execute the document. There it is. I was trying to keep your father's chaos from destroying what was left of our family. You used my name. Emotionally. I think I made decisions under circumstances none of you understand. My mother spent years thinking Robert chose you and abandoned us. I grew up thinking he didn't want me. Then I found letters showing he tried to reach me. Jessica continued. I'm not asking you to forgive him either. A pause. But you don't get to punish me for what he did to you. Just enough. Jessica nodded. And I lost a father I never got to meet. Then Tyler spoke. And I lost the version of my mother I thought I knew. For a second, I thought she was going to defend herself again. She didn't. I thought if I gave Jessica anything, it would make what he did real. Nobody spoke. Elaine swallowed. I thought if the money stayed with us, then his mistake stayed outside the family. Elaine nodded once. I know. No. You know now. We can continue. Nothing involving that much money ever is. The rental property purchased through Blue Ridge was sold. The investments were traced and reallocated. After fees, taxes, repayments, and valuation disputes, Jessica received a little over $1 million. Kaplan insisted on a structured arrangement because a portion of the assets still needed to be unwound properly. Jessica didn't care. She told me something I will never forget. I spent 30 years without any of this. I can wait another year to get it correctly. Martin Hale surrendered the estate file and eventually stopped representing Elaine. I won't pretend I understood every disciplinary or legal consequence that followed. Tyler's name was cleared from the transaction history. It was Fridays. After the settlement meeting, Tyler stopped going to Elaine's house every Friday because there was nothing left to hide there. The first time I met Lily, she walked into our kitchen wearing purple sneakers and carrying a stuffed fox under one arm. Apparently. Do you have kids? No. Jessica laughed. It wasn't. For a while, Tyler and I lived more like careful roommates than husband and wife, because secrecy itself had become another person in our marriage. Tyler had to learn something he had apparently learned very young. Keeping Elaine calm was not the same as keeping the family safe. He had spent his whole life smoothing things over for her, avoiding conflict. That worked until he married someone who expected partnership instead of protection from the truth. One night, about 4 months after everything came out, we were sitting on the back porch. No lawyers, no documents, no phone calls. Tyler said, I think I knew by March that I should have told you. Why didn't you? Because if I told you, you would make me deal with it honestly. No. Yes. Yes. Then I said, you don't ever get to protect our marriage by lying inside it again. I know. No. I need you to hear the exact words. I repeated them. You do not protect a marriage by lying inside it. I hear you. Some endings shouldn't pretend everybody hugged and healed. We became civil. A real one. 3 pages. No excuses until the last paragraph, which I suppose was progress, for trying to control what I was allowed to know. Jessica's relationship with Elaine was even more complicated. Both times, brief. When I asked her why she was being so careful, she smiled. Because I know what money can make people become. A year after that Friday night, Tyler and I were driving home from dinner when we passed Elaine's street. Old habit. Then he kept going. What? He smiled. Nothing. I know. Why? Friday. 7:18 p.m. Friday. For 7 months, that hour had meant a lie. A hidden truck. A prepared excuse. A mother covering for her son while secretly covering for herself. Because sometimes the thing you get back after betrayal isn't innocence. You don't get that. You get clarity. If you've stayed with me this far, tell me in the comments what you would have done the moment you heard that woman behind the locked bedroom door. Would you have confronted everyone immediately, or would you have waited for the facts? And if you like stories where the smallest clue opens the biggest secret, subscribe, Because sometimes the most dangerous lie in a family isn't the one everybody believes. It's the one everybody agrees not to question. I thought my husband was disappearing every Friday because there was another woman. There was. Jessica wasn't his mistress. She was his sister. The woman my mother-in-law had spent years trying to erase. Something simpler. Patterns matter. And when someone tells you not to ask questions, sometimes that is the clearest answer you're going to get. Today, Tyler and I are still married. Different marriage, better boundaries, fewer assumptions, no secret Fridays. And Elaine? She sees him, but on terms he chooses, not hers. The first Friday after we finished counseling, Tyler came home from work carrying Thai food and 2 bottles of sparkling water. He put them on the kitchen counter. "No emergencies at Mom's?" I asked. He smiled. "No broken faucet. No dresser? No paperwork." I raised an eyebrow. "No mysterious woman locked in a bedroom?" He laughed. "Definitely not." Then he handed me his phone. I looked at it. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because I don't want there to be anything in my life you have to investigate." I pushed it back toward him. "I don't want your phone." He looked confused. I smiled. "I want the truth before I ever think I need it." He nodded. "That I can do." And this time, I believed him.